Thank you so much for joining us here for our second virtual B2B pitch event. My name is Erica Hull, and I am an innovation analyst here in the Corporate Innovation Services team here at Runway Innovation Hub. Today, we will be hearing from a range of startups from a variety of industries that are leveraging contactless technologies and solutions. We're super excited to hear from these startups as well as our corporate panel judges, and we are looking forward to their feedback and advice. For context, this event is hosted by Runway Innovation Hub and will be recorded and available for view at Runway's YouTube channel. All right. So for those of you who are already familiar with Runway or have worked with us in the past, welcome back. It's great to see you all. For those of you who are new, I wanted to provide some context into what we do here at Runway Innovation Hub. So Runway is an innovation company located in the Twitter building in San Francisco that helps accelerate the success of global tech innovators and entrepreneurs. A key component of our activities includes helping corporate innovation teams and venture capital teams leverage their strengths and the strength of startups to create mutually beneficial partnerships. As we can see here on the left, corporations often can offer extreme value when it comes to things like scale, network, resources, infrastructure, and processes. On the other hand, startups have the agility and flexibility to take larger risks and run experiments efficiently. So here at Runway, we really work to bridge this gap between large companies and startups to leverage each of their strengths and create strategic opportunities for both parties. As far as what we do here at Runway, we offer 3 core services. The first of these 3 things is providing innovation strategy and training programs to help our corporate clients align strategically, and as well as gaining common knowledge around their innovation activities. We do this through a variety of services that include things like innovation maturity assessments, corporate training programs, and workshops. The second thing we do here at Runway is startup engagement, whereby we help our corporate clients identify the right opportunities in the market and learn how to find the right startups globally. We then facilitate these conversations to see if they're compatible for partnerships and then deploy a partnership, a proof of concept, which may ultimately culminate in an investment, partnership, or acquisition opportunity. And finally, the third area of service we offer is ecosystem building. This includes things like incubation, acceleration, corporate venture capital, all of which are tools within our innovation toolkit. In terms of some of our success stories to date, we have worked with a range of global corporations, some of which are listed here on the right-hand side, as you may recognize, companies such as Fujitsu, Lenovo, and Epson. We have also screened over 20,000 different startups for our corporate clients or asset manager clients, produced over 5,000 deep dive startup reports, provided over 260 custom scouting reports, over 100 workshops and tours across 37 different clients, across 25 different industries, and 19 of which are Fortune Global 500 clients. And today we are continuing to extend our clientele globally to reach an international scale. I would now like to introduce you all to Dr. Liyu Wang, who is our Senior Innovation Researcher here at Runway. Liyu will go ahead and dive into a definition of today's theme and identify what a contactless future really encompasses, go over some existing problems as well as opportunities for innovation in this space. So without further ado, I'd like to switch it off to Liyu Wang.
Thank you, Erica. For many people, contactless could mean a contactless pizza delivery. Which these days, you can get this through online delivery platforms, and including myself. But contactless is really much more than this, and they exist and will continue to impact our daily life in the physical world. And if we move on to the next slide. So the contactless already happens before the COVID-19 pandemic, and the pandemic itself accelerated the whole overall trend into many different scenarios in the physical world, as illustrated here in several different scenarios. For example, on the top left, you see a setting of a commercial or residential real estate buildings. where the contactless will be needed in the future for entrance and exit through doors or going up and down the elevators. And on the top right, you see a dining scenario in the restaurants where diners and waiters or waitress was in the past interact during the process of menu viewing, ordering, as well as payment. And some of this process is already becoming contactless, and many more of these processes will likely to become contactless in the future. And the bottom left, you see a hotel setting. And this is very big in the hospitality industry, which many of us already experienced, for example, keyless entry or in-room mobile device control of utilities, such as TVs and the air conditioning. And this trend is going to be accelerated further in the near future. And last, in the bottom right, you see the retail setting, where this retail means more a brick and a brick store rather than an e-commerce platform, where you go into the store, go out of the store, and during the store you will see, view the products and process the payments. And all these scenarios in the past, many years ago was not contactless, and more recently become contactless, and the pandemic will just accelerate this contactless trends. And throughout this process, many of the contactless technologies will be utilized to enable this, and hopefully some of the startups today will bring up some of these technology solutions to enable this future. We move on to the next slide. So there's no clear definition of what contactless future is, although the contactless technologies have existed for many decades. At Runway, we define contactless future for the event purpose or for our own research is that the contactless future encompasses the use of technologies which eliminate the need for physical contact between users and objects that don't belong to them, in order to accomplish an action in a physical environment and social setting where they have to interact with physical objects or other human beings. And let's look at some of the opportunities in the next slide. So the first opportunity is that before the pandemic, researchers have already shown that the global contactless payment in transaction value has exceeded $1 trillion, and that's huge. And this trend will continue in the future. And the second opportunity we see is the global contactless biometric market size is over $7 billion. Erica, could you bring that? Yes, and this contactless biometric technology is expected to grow even further, and some estimates by 2027, this market size will grow to around $20 billion US. And I'm sure on the news recently, we heard that Amazon stores implemented the palm reading technology, which eliminates some of the obstacles of entry and payment. And the third opportunities is in the hospitality industry. And this research shows that 7% of millennials are more likely to book a hotel with technology amenities, such as keyless entry, as well as mobile payments. All in all, these numbers potentially, they are big, and the trend has already started before the pandemic, and the pandemic will just accelerate the adoption of contactless technologies in multiple industries that's close to our daily life. So now, please let me introduce you to Sandra Mila, the moderator for today's B2B pitch event. Sandra is the CEO of Runway Innovation Hub. Before Runway, she co-founded Stanford University's Biodesign Center, endowed by Brooke Byers, a founding partner of Kleiner, Perkins, Caulfield, and Byers. She led Accenture Ventures' open innovation initiatives with Silicon Valley's top accelerator, and was the first managing director of the Singularity University Startup Accelerator. She co-founded the Kaufman Foundation's Labs for Enterprise Creation Accelerator, and she was managing director of the Angels Forum, one of Silicon Valley's leading angel investor groups. An advisor to post-seed stage and venture capital-backed startups, Sandra has nearly 20 years of experience advising and educating entrepreneurs, startups, government leaders, and corporate innovators. Without further ado, I will give the stage to Cassandra to introduce the panel judges, the rules, and the formats of today's B2B pitch event.
Great. Thank you so much, Liu, for framing what sort of the future view of contactless future could look like. And one of the things I'll just share personally, I've gone from being someone who really didn't use sort of the tap and pay, with your card thing. As I've quickly, because of COVID, become, an adopter of that, I get really annoyed when I go to retail places and that doesn't work and I have to touch that interface. And so I'm, I think that just that experience and a consumer or end users sort of expectations of being able to do things in a contactless way is, because of COVID, it has grown exponentially. And so the other thing that is fascinating when we think about contactless is, if you're someone for real estate, whether it's these big residential or commercial buildings, from a property tech standpoint, contactless is really important in those systems from a security standpoint, from a health standpoint. And so the thing that's fascinating about contactless, and I think you'll see it in the range of the diversity of the startups that we have with this, they're all working on contactless solutions for a wide range of problems. It's becoming pretty ubiquitous. So without further ado, let's sort of move forward so we can hear from our panelists and ultimately these great companies that we have today. I just want to mention quickly before I introduce the panel, why we're doing this. Why do we do this B2B pitch event? One of the things that we've observed is that since shelter in place took effect in March due to COVID, the demo days, the startup pitch events for venture or angel investment, that actually translated really well to an online virtual format, with one exception. And that exception is that there's so much goodness that happens during those events and of networking events that we'd go to learn about AI and robotics and whatever. That's where we would meet. If you're the innovation person from a corporate, or you're a CVC, that's where you'd go to meet, and maybe your next startup to consider for your innovation strategy. And startups, startups really struggle to figure out B2B startups struggle to figure out, how they can possibly get access to the right person in the right company that they think really needs their solution, again, as a customer, as a partner, or what have you. So we're doing this because there are lots of venues, and again, I think it's terrific, where you can see startups pitching for venture investment, but there isn't anything that's really explicitly focused on providing exposure for high quality B2B startups to potential customers, partners, and even, some of these folks also have CVC or investment in some way as part of their mandate. And so that's why we're doing this. We just felt that there was a need out there. And this is the second of these B2B pitch events that we did. The first one that you can check out on our YouTube page was focused on empowering the workforce. Really great companies pitching there. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our panelists. We have really amazing panelists, and they all are going to bring different perspectives to providing feedback to startups. And again, this is an opportunity where anyone who's ever, when you're presenting, it takes many times and you're always improving. And so we learn from the startups every time that we see them, but it's also so helpful as a startup to get really constructive feedback on how we can, communicate more effectively. So as I'm going to ask our panelists, and I'll call on each of you to give a brief little introduction. I'm also going to ask you to add just a little nugget of something that's not on your bio, just something of interest. Now, I already had way too long an introduction, although a nice one by Liu. So I'll add my nugget is that I actually went bungee jumping one time off of a 110-foot bridge in Sonora, and I only needed to do it once. It was pretty wild. I'm glad I did it, but I gave my jump to, actually my whole family went. And so I gave it to one of my uncles to take my second jump because I didn't pee my pants, but it was pretty scary. So anyway, that's my little nugget. Let's see, Kevin, let's start with you. Can you just give us a quick self-intro about you and your work at Fujitsu?
Sure, I didn't have time for that nugget. I don't know if I can outdo a bungee jump. I think 10-foot wave maybe is my record on a boogie board, maybe.
That's a good one.
It looked like 10 foot, but it's probably 5. But anyway, I do like to boogie board, and I go do a lot of outdoor sports and things like that. So that's, I guess, a nugget.
Yeah.
But back to work. I work as business development alliance manager at Fujitsu Laboratories of America. So we're kind of an outpost for Fujitsu, which is based in Japan. We were a small startup back in 1935. So we initially in the telephone business, became basically now an information and communications technology company. So we do dabble in all things connected. So retail is one area we are doing some interesting things now. But basically in my job, my role in the labs is to kind of promote open innovation and then do some market research and also connect startups to our business units in Japan. So we've kind of become part of a new group called the CEO office, which is reporting to the CEO in Japan, trying to think a little more about 5 to 10 years out and mega trends and where it's all heading, that kind of thing. So I wear a few different hats, but I'm really happy to be here. I guess in retail, just quickly, one of our latest announcements is that we just started a partnership with Zipin, which you may know is kind of like an Amazon Go solution for touchless checkout. So you can go in the store and pretend like you're stealing things and run off with everything and get the bill later. We're kind of looking at, we have another technology. It's kind of a palm vein reader, so we can do contactless authentication. So anyway, enough about me.
Great, thank you, Kevin.
Sure.
And next up, we'll Tanuj, Mohan. Can you tell us a little about you and your work at Enlighted?
Sure, you put us on the spot with the one nugget piece, but what I remembered when you talked about bungee jumping is that I did a bungee jumping too, and this was at the top of Squaw Valley about,
oh yeah,
I don't know, 25 years ago. And the real story is I actually stood in line just to find out how much it cost, and I was too scared to do it. But I stood in the wrong line and they started to suit me up. And I was actually too chicken, too embarrassed, and too proud to ask how much it cost and chicken out based on either it cost too much. And that time I used to live, I was traveling to the US. And I actually bungee jumped, but just because I was too scared to ask the question and say sorry and apologize. And I've learned that going forward, well, it was a good experience, so I won't discount it, but now I make sure I know what I'm getting into and I'm no longer shy, I ask. Having said that, my background, I've spent a lot of time in the virtual world and building the internet. So I spent half my work life in computer networking, building security products and network management products. But for the rest of my work life, I have entered the world of things and specifically buildings. And we have been creating smart buildings at Enlighted for the last decade. And 2 years ago, we got acquired by Siemens. So we are a IoT company, and all the things I loved, like the switches that you hit, are now going to not be touched anymore after this contactless future comes to being. But it is the vision, and it is the shared vision with, I'm sure, all the entrepreneurs who are going to present today, that really the way it should have worked is I walk into the room and I have a migraine, and the lights should adjust to my needs without me having to touch the buttons on the switch, etc. And I think COVID-19 has accelerated this contactless future and is making the IoT vision of things automagically happening and making it a lot more productive. It's becoming a reality. So I'm really excited to listen to the entrepreneurs and see what they have for us today.
Terrific. Thank you, Tanuj. And Ben Brown from Accenture. Tell us a little bit about you and your work in the FinTech area with retail.
Thanks, Sandra. So hi, everybody. I'm Accenture's banking and payment strategy lead on the West Coast. And over my career, the past 15 years or so, I've worked with a really diverse set of clients, from FinTech startups to banks and major tech companies, on topics like growth strategy, product strategy, partnerships, M&A transactions, and other topics like that. And these projects, the type of work that we do, that I personally do, is often driven by either market leaders who are going through digital reinvention and digital transformation, or new entrants experiencing breakout growth. And that's actually where I spend a lot of my time today, is on helping growth stage financial services companies to evolve and scale. And we have a portfolio of 12 plus FinTech unicorns that we work with and do very cool things, from their business operations to enabling new products and accelerating engineering processes. And we also work pretty closely with Accenture's ecosystem and ventures team on partnerships. Accenture has a portfolio of 200 plus technology alliance partners around the world, and our corporate venture capital activity as well, understanding some of those emerging players who are either providing technology to the industry or trying to take the industry on and become the market leaders of tomorrow. So really exciting time to be in this space, and a super exciting market to be in. If you have to pick anywhere in the US, even though FinTech Twitter might argue that Miami is the rising hub for technology companies, I'd still put my money on the Bay Area for now. So glad to be part of the event today. And yeah, interesting bungee jumping anecdote, Sandra. I think maybe one for me is that I'm definitely an optimizer. So I'm always looking for ways to, save money, get more value, make things work better, hence being a consultant for so long. And I did go skydiving actually once, but I did it by buying a Groupon. So going skydiving cheaply is probably not the right way to go skydiving. And definitely remember getting crammed in the back of a tiny Cessna 172 and all the challenges that went with that day, getting out of the plane and actually having one of the people in line in front of us, the plane brought them back down because the plane was so small. One of their safety harnesses got caught on a seat as they were on their way at the door. So I should have changed my mind at that point, but I did it and survived. So now I've got one of those did it once stories like you do.
Wow. And wow, it is the the parachute thing. Yeah, I just never would do that. So kudos to you. And I think it's really amazing. I know a lot of companies would dream to be a technology alliance partner with Accenture. So it's pretty great to have you here today. And last but not least, we have Boris Pluskowski with Silicon Valley Bank. So Boris, can you tell us a little bit about your work with New Ventures and your one nugget. Boris, where'd you go?
That's right, prerequisite mute
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, so I guess my one little thing to throw out at you is that I had a very short and not very illustrious career as a professional rugby player when I was younger. Hence the broken nose, cauliflower ears, and lack of a discernible neck of any sort. That all kind of goes with the territory. And yeah, I'm at Silicon Valley Bank, but my background is not really in banking. I've only been at the bank for 2 years. Prior to that, I was 20 years in the startup world, and have been a CMO, a head of services, a head of customer success, a head of sales, and a founder up until joining the bank. Was the beginning of last year, something like that. God, no, longer than that. Wow, time's going by quickly. So I head up the New Ventures segment of SVB, so which fits within our innovation team. And very broadly, the bank made we sort of made a very good, I think, strategic decision to realize that we have no sort of real chance of innovating outside of core banking by being a bank, right? Everything that makes us great at being a bank makes us pretty bad at doing just about everything else. And yet our future isn't necessarily to be a pure play bank, because God knows if you sort of single track down anything, I think you always stand the risk of disruption. And so our group is specifically tasked with exploring non-core banking opportunities, things that are Horizon 2, Horizon 3, a little bit further out. And typically, rather than trying to necessarily build those within the bank, we build them outside of the bank. And so we build them as startups outside the bank. So my job is really all about building startups for the bank. So we go through an entire incubation process to figure out what are the kind of ideas we should be exploring, how they should be working, the business models, the opportunities behind that. We essentially build it out within our incubation team to about a strong seed level pitch. And then that flips over to me and my team, and our role is to execute against that. So everything from incorporating the company, finding founders to take it over and run it for us, giving it some funding, supporting it through product market fit, and starting the scaling process, with the goal of eventually getting ourselves from inception to A round in about 18 months. That's the overall goal. So about twice as fast as most companies could expect to get there. In terms of technologies, we pretty much cover the gamut. Any kind of technology, any kind of business model. It's for somebody like me who's kind of been a jack of all trades, it's kind of a phenomenal, fun job to be doing.
Great, thank you so much. Judges and everyone else, I want to orient you on how things are going to flow today. So each startup is going to have 5 minutes to pitch. I'll be keeping time on my phone, and I will call time if when you hit 5 minutes. After your pitch, I'll ask the judges to ask any questions that they have of the startup, and then we'll also have an opportunity for the judges to provide non-rebuttal feedback to the startup. And what that means is startups, you don't get to sort of rebut any of the suggestions and recommendations. It's just things that you could consider to improve your presentation and how you're communicating to the panel. So, and then lastly, judges, after the feedback round, I'll ask you just to hold up your hands with, fingers of from 1 to 5 to score the presentation, so we can identify, the best all around presentation of the day. And and again, these are not, pure investor pitches. We're really focusing on presenting to potential customers or partners. And we're, with that, I think it's time to bring up our first startup, which is Bbot with Simoni. And Stephen, I see you. Will, if you could pull up, hey there, if you could pull up share your screen.
All right, can you see?
We can see your screen and we can hear you, and we're ready to go.
All right, let me start my clock here. Well, I just want to say thanks everyone for having me. My name is Steve Simoni. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Bbot. We make contactless dining solutions for hospitality operators in hotels and restaurants. We got started in San Francisco at the beginning of 2018, but we've since moved the business to New York City, where I reside, and it's currently snowing right now. All right, so COVID's been really interesting. You know, we started pre-COVID, but it's really accelerated. And this is the fact that we really see now is that hospitality operators are going to choose their online ordering system before their point of sale. And this is a really important point and really behind the thesis of Bbot for the next few years, which is, like, for example, under my high-rise building I live in Queens, there's a coffee shop, and it's run by a woman named Natasha. And she recently just switched from ShopKeep, her point of sale she used for ringing up coffee orders, to Shopify point of sale. And I asked Natasha why. And she said, well, I also have a digital storefront and I need it all to be unified. And online ordering is more important than ever now. So whereas the hardware before drove the decision, it's now the software. But COVID has also been interesting for restaurants, not just coffee shops. And Bbot has really pioneered the QR code ordering at the table. So on the right-hand side, you're viewing Gitano Garden of Love. It's in Manhattan. It's a seasonal. They also have now they're down in Tulum, Mexico as well, operating Bbot, so we're international. But at this place, you're looking at table 305 here. When a hostess would sit us down, we might be sitting at table 305. And with Bbot, you'll be able to scan the QR code and order and start a tab right from your table. This is a very important point in American culture to make different maybe than some other international cultures, which is in US dining culture, there's very, hospitality operators are really interested in providing great hospitality. So contactless is a bit of a misnomer here. Sure, we are ordering and starting a tab on our phone at Gitano.menu, but a server might come by and say, hey, Steve, would you like to add another round to that? I already have your tab now that you've scanned the QR code. So Bbot is simply creating a collaborative ordering experience tableside at restaurants that are casual dining. And you can ask me later, but doing this pre-COVID was also a very interesting thing to be trying. We handle it all though, from companies like Le Pain Quotidien to Gitano to Fleming Steakhouse. We will do things not just tableside, where you enter your table number, but we will also handle delivery and curbside pickup as well. But just scanning the QR code and rendering a menu isn't really enough. So it's a very highly technical product. My background's in electrical and nuclear engineering. I used to be a naval officer, and nuclear reactors on submarines are very mission critical, as you can imagine. And my co-founders and I always joke that ordering software is incredibly mission critical to restaurants. So we've integrated it and done all the hard stuff behind the scenes of the QR code, like integrating to your Toast point of sale, or if you have like a legacy point of sale like Micros, we handle all of the printer routing and all the back-end complexity and make that very easy for restaurants to come on board very fast. More than that, we also add integrations with other startups, anything from a CRM software like 7Rooms to a loyalty provider like Thanks. This is very important for hospitality operators to have this because there's a lot of stuff in their tech stack. Our distribution strategy is very interesting as well. We have a half channel based, half direct selling motion. The channel partners, I've listed a few here. but basically they resell our software, and then we also sell it directly. And obviously you can look at the growth from since COVID started. As of September, we had about 1.84 million annualized revenue. It's over 2 million at this point. This was a old slide from back when I was raising money. We're not raising money anymore. And this is just to show you that restaurants are adopting this at an accelerated rate. It's been a wild year. Lastly, the team, me and my two co-founders, we all met in the Navy together. I've known these guys for over a decade. After the Navy, we moved to Silicon Valley, where we took different jobs. I was in sales at Marketo, and Luke went back to Stanford, and we're backed by Craft Ventures, Rally Ventures, and Lightspeed. We're a seed stage, a little past seed stage company.
Great. And
thanks.
Great. And you're out of time too. So great job ending. And judges, I'm trying to get my view so I can see all of you. Here we go. So any questions for Stephen?
I have two, they're kind of related. First off, what are you looking for from this pitch? And second, you had a head start because you started in 2018 and then the pandemic showed up. So you think you've scaled enough, or if you haven't, why haven't you?
Well, so yeah, we weren't scaling that fast. Like we had 90 customers I'll answer the second question first. We had about 90 customers, like visionary customers pre-pandemic that really loved to adopt this new type of ordering system, which was pretty counter to what most Americans are used to in dining. But we were growing pretty nicely in bootstrapping. COVID accelerated it because we were developing it, and it really helped accelerate it. And to scale further, and this answers your first question, is we have built a system that also our channel partners and other B2B distributors can resell and implement and recommend very quickly. Like we have really fast onboarding. So, part of the reason for doing this B2B pitch was mainly to see if anyone in the audience or any of the panelists are, connected in the channel reseller world, because that is a big part of our distribution strategy besides our SMB direct selling motion.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions, judges?
I'm assuming the logos here on the right are investors.
The two in the top right there's our Bay Area. We're actually all of our VC. We mostly angels for a long time. When we were bootstrapping, and I was just going door to door. But yeah, our investors our VCs are Bay Area. I always joke New York City investors don't like me. I don't know why. And then like the logo, then the other stuff is just where we worked or where we went to school.
Yeah, I mean the comment I have is, I've seen a lot of companies either who were in the, have always been in this space and like you showed very little growth up until the pandemic, or have been in very close tangential areas who have pivoted very quickly into this model. And they've all seen that kind of growth. I feel like it's hard to understand where you guys are doing something different though. So what makes you more unique within that marketplace? And just as a feedback on your presentation too, I kind of feel like you missed the opportunity at the beginning to actually give a narrative around what it is you're doing. You showed two screens, or two slides in a row, both of which showed effectively the same screen of enter your table number here, right? Without really showing what makes it a collaborative experience, without really sort of going through that whole interaction, following the persona through, which would have illustrated, I think, a little bit more, I'm guessing anyway, what your sort of USP is into this whole space.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's great feedback. I really should have shown the collaborative ordering experience. The thing that makes us unique is the tabs functionality.
And it's just is that just the ability to sort of follow through with the tabs?
Yeah, think about like when you're dining out, like a server, if you start a tab in our system, you can start a tab on your mobile device, and a server will have her own Bbot device that can be like, oh, I saw it looks like you need another round. I can just throw that on your tab. Okay. So like that's like a unique property of our system that no one else has.
And you're still thinking then payment happens at the very end, or does it happen all the way through continuously?
You start by, our system, again, this is unique. We're the only company in the US that does this, but you pre-auth the tab and it increments the auth as you go through the night. So you only see one charge at the end, but it's safe for that. The key is that it's safe for the owner and the restaurateur, the pre-auth.
Okay. I mean, one of the things I'll sort of have noticed about a couple of these guys before too, is that they, kind of interesting in the whole COVID space, just like how tipping's kind of gotten thrown into this now, right? And everybody's kind of expecting to tip, even in typically non-tipping environments, if you will. And I've certainly noticed with a lot of other companies doing this that it's like, on a transaction by transaction basis, they will continuously add the tip, add the tip, add the tip. It actually adds up to being significantly more than if you just bundle it all together and then tip once at the other end of it. So it could almost be I don't know if you want to offer it as a feature set of stuff, because I'm pretty sure a lot of servers out there would be sort of more appreciative of the sort of pay by transaction rather than pay by bill. But
Gotcha. Love the feedback.
Okay, so Boris has actually transitioned us nicely into feedback for Stephen. And again, now Stephen, you're not going to get to sort of push back on any of this. So Ben, can you start us, be our second feedback, and then we'll go Kevin and Tanuj.
Sure, sounds good. I mean, two things I think that would be valuable to add to the presentation if you're giving the presentation as a pitch to potential partners, right, is, what's the value proposition created for various parties? I mean, for the restaurant, it's obvious, right? It's a new experience, probably higher tickets, though, that wasn't really stated. I don't know if there's any operational cost improvements, but how about for those channel partners or for a systems integrator or a firm like Accenture that you might want to partner with? So just outlining the value proposition for you, for the restaurant, for the consumer, for the channel partners and other technical intermediaries, I think would be pretty impactful. And then also talking about the customer acquisition model, that and any ways that it goes beyond the QR code at the location, because I think that could also help to address some of the things Boris said, which is it is an experience that some have experimented with before, and part of it is how do you create this kind of this flywheel of customer acquisition, and how do you help customers that sign up at one location discover restaurants elsewhere, and sign up before they reach the restaurant so that their dining experience is pretty seamless. That's not something I really saw in the presentation. I'm sure you figured it out, and it's just part of a longer story, but those are the two things I noticed.
Non-rebuttal, non-rebuttal, Stephen. Kevin.
Yes, I have to ditto to Boris and Ben and even Tanuj, what you said earlier. I had similar questions too, and I think that was sort of the thing, having that question of kind of how you really distinguish yourself in the landscape is important. And then kind of, I was curious too about how you integrate with others. You said you do curbside and delivery too, how you integrate with that in your business model for partnering around that. A great presentation, I think. Yeah, it's just the key thing. There's a lot of companies in the space now, so it's kind of really clearly understanding quickly what sets you apart from the other guys is key.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Tanuj, any other piece of feedback?
No, going after smart people is not always fun, but I love the presentation. I think I love the simplicity of the presentation and how you made it personal in the beginning. I would just incorporate the feedback into that flow where you connect the dots with the example you were giving in your own building and talk about the unique, value propositions, etc. you have, and integrate it into that story so we can take it away. But otherwise, I like the presentation.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, judges, I'm going to ask you to hold up the number of fingers you want to give for a score for Bbot. So just go ahead, 1, 2, 3. Hold them until I count them. So we've got Ben is 3, Boris is 3, Kevin is 4, Tanuj is 3. Okay, great.
We like 3.5s, but I don't know how to do that.
That's okay. It's okay. I got it. All right, so Bbot is 13. Okay, great. All right, so next up is Kevin Dawidowicz with Coach Me Plus.
How's it going, guys?
Kevin, we can see you and hear you, and if you can bring up your screen. Terrific. We can see your screen, and
excellent.
I will start the timer whenever you're ready.
Good to go. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So Coach Me Plus, basically we are here to talk about remote fitness for coaches and athletes to reach their health and fitness related goals. Coach Me Plus has been around for a couple of years. We started in the professional sports space, the NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Soccer, universities and colleges, with some experience in about 200 different enterprise clients. We collect about 5 million different data points per month from different athletes and wearable technologies and different data sets, basically all across the fitness landscape. And most recently, in the last 3 years, we've begun working with the US military. So we have contracts with the Air Force and with the Navy to provide remote fitness for National Guard and other scenarios. In the last year, 18 months or so, we began to build a package for gyms and fitness to take our enterprise package or enterprise system down to the bundle and package level, which has actually proved to be really good for us because of COVID. So changes in fitness behavior. You take a look at people walking into the gym, they're walking in with competition in their pocket. They have apps, they have connectivity, they have other technologies that take them out of that coach and athlete relationship. There's about 1 billion wearable devices out there. So all that technology is pumping data into your smartphone, but it's not connecting you with your coach or your trainer. The new trend right now is omni-channel connectivity, and that's to move beyond the 4 walls of your brick and mortar and turn it into 3 walls so that you have some sort of connection outside of your facility and actually with your people, whether it be on their mobile devices or other. And finally, we've got 60% of people have said post-COVID that they're going to continue to do remote workouts. We see this as a trend that's going to stay. When you take a look at the overall connected fitness experience, you need to be able to remote train anywhere and anytime. You need to be able to pull in third-party wearable device data and technology. You need to integrate with existing systems. We're not a platform that lives by itself. It has to live within the ecosystem. You need to be able to coach anywhere. So remote work is the new normal. Well, then maintaining that relationship between a coach and an athlete can be done through a system like this. You've got that covered. You need to hyper-personalize. Apps can't do it alone. An app by itself might collect your information and give you good feedback, but most apps begin to lose usage after a while because there's no reason for accountability. Having a coach and an athlete work together is a proven model to actually reach your fitness goals. And then finally, having a connected facility, tying all that in so that we actually are in facility makes it a more complete experience. So we value the coach and athlete relationship. The athlete is going to go into an app. They're going to track their workouts, nutrition, hydration, wellness, and other activities. The coach is going to create workouts, take a look at wellness data, communicate, give you notifications and daily feeds. And all of that goes into the only enterprise platform for remote fitness. We've been doing this on the enterprise for quite some time. So for us to take that mindset into a broader market is going to put us in a unique position against anybody else who's competing. So the acceleration of the market evolution. 2015, we were at the leading edge of professional sports, and that was driven by competition. People wanted to get the best usage out of their athletes, and they looked for the 1% changes in our system. With COVID, now it's accelerated the entire fitness industry. We knew that eventually this would happen, but this is one of those places where people have gone out and they've bought all of this gym equipment. It's sitting in their houses, it's sitting in their basements, it's sitting in their garages, and that's going to continue to be used in the future when people actually start getting really back into normal life. So we really see this as a staying trend. When people actually get back into normal lives, people are going to have all this equipment that they paid for. They're going to want to get the best use out of that, and a coach who's actually training you at your home, at your own facility is going to be the best way to do that. Our experience, again, enterprise sales, we've done really well in professional sports. In 2013, we began to move into universities and other large enterprises and organizations. In 2017, we hit the largest enterprise, and that was military. Now we've positioned ourselves, we've reached cash flow neutral, we've launched our initial products, and we're moving out to market with packages. We see the future as a fully immersed solution. You want to provide remote and in-facility training to coach anytime, anywhere. You need to be able to provide a product suite that will go across the 300,000 personal trainers and 200,000 fitness facilities across the world. And you want to future-proof your positioning so that you actually have interconnected technology throughout here and the future. We eventually see a place to embed ourselves in financial transactions so that all of your remote connected fitness does turn into visibility into additional revenues. That's me, and that's Coach Me Plus.
Great. Thank you so much. Judges, any questions for Kevin?
Question myself. Great presentation, Kevin. I like your name, by the way. But I think one thing, yeah, I'm looking at, the health industry myself and how to connect, the whole experience of what you do with your wearables in your daily life. So when you go to your doctor, you can have that conversation that, you understand. So I like the fact that you're kind of doing that with the coach in a sense, and connecting the dots between the in the gym, the physical gym space, and the outside the gym. I haven't heard anything really clever in that area before. So I was curious how you do, in fact, a little more detail about that, how you connect wearables and maybe some of that data.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when we first started, it was a lot of cracking into hardware that didn't have some sort of API or connectivity. Like we literally hacked into the Bbot pod and hacked into heart rate monitors and things like that to figure out how to pull that data. It was 2010 and nobody had APIs for that stuff yet. We now connect with about 60 different high-end wearables and data, platforms. So there's like speed and power and agility and body composition, hydration. I mean, you name it, there's all kinds of technology out there for it. That has been much harder to connect to than the commercial wearables. If I go to the commercial space and I talk to Fitbit, Wahoo, HealthKit, Whoop, Garmin, like they've got well-supported APIs and connectivity. So for the user, it's a seamless experience. The data is constantly flowing into the application, and it's constantly being turned into quick dashboards and reports so you can see, trends and analysis. The innovation is now making that available to a coach or a trainer where they might not have had access to that before.
Very good.
Judges, any other questions?
What's
the obvious question is sorry, Ben, I think I might be stealing your question. Well, the obvious question here is once you connect all the data up, why wouldn't an AI do this a lot better than an individual coach? It'll spot things and get trained a lot better than a coach could ever do. So at the end, it'll have a lot more intelligence. So why is the coach still relevant if you look down a year or two once all the data is there?
We believe that as well, but the gap between here and there is quite large. There is a relationship that's built with a coach when you have this level of accountability across the chasm here, knowing that there's somebody on the other side who's as invested in your fitness as you are, kind of beats the buzz that you get on a phone, right? Like I have apps and I have wearables that say, the Breathe app tells me to do it. MyFitnessPal tells me to track stuff. And these things give me notifications and they give me some sort of guidance on what I should do with my day. Whoop is actually pretty intelligent that it tells me how much training capacity I have for my day. But all of the data shows that about 85% of apps lose their users in about 6 months. Whereas connecting to a personal trainer shows the exact type of numbers. Like 85% of people reach their fitness goals when they work with a trainer. We find that the personality match between a coach and an athlete is either driven by competition in sports, so they have to do it. In the military, it's they absolutely have to do it there as well. But when you go to a gym, you might go through a handful of trainers before you find somebody that you actually personally match with that, you know, aligns with the way that you train and the way that they coach. And enhancing that relationship through technology is really what we find is key. It eventually will be replaced by AI, but I think it's pretty far down the road for this particular market. There doesn't seem to be a lot of push here.
So I guess my question is just like in terms of what's next, right? I mean, you guys have been around for quite some time now.
Mhm.
You've obviously done a very good job, and it was a great presentation to get to where you are. I think I'm struggling to understand what this next step is, right? And where you're going to go to that's going to, you know, presumably take you to the next level beyond that.
So for us, the entire space has always been captivated by like this idea of like the pro logos that you see up here with, you know, the Pittsburgh Penguins. People are very interested in that, but there's no growth there. Just doesn't exist. There's only 122 pro teams in North America. We've been pushing into the gym market with false starts probably 3 or 4 times because there just hasn't been a market drive to do this. We've known that the market would always go this way, and it took this event to actually force people to, you know, engage in remote fitness. Now every gym that you talk to has used Zoom and you know, Facebook Live and all these other interactive communication platforms to try to engage their users and hopefully retain enough customers to make it through this gap. The problem with those technologies is that they're not tied to revenue. So I might hold a Zoom class, and this is great. And now you got everybody bouncing around and doing all this stuff. And as a coach, I hope I retain those people and still get to charge my personal training fees. But the revenue isn't really tied into that model. So our future in this is to tie those revenue activities into the fitness activities. So you really put a sticky play into the money, you know, the pocketbooks of the gym owners and the interests of the people trying to either lose weight or gain fitness or whatever it might be. So that's our future.
Yeah, I mean the thoughts that go into my head, right, is that your market seems to be well, like the fitness market as a whole, seems to be highly seasonal in basis, right? I mean, people join right after Christmas and New Year's, they all give up by March, April. I mean, the gym market is, you know, well flooded with a lot of that. And my concern and competition for you is partially, I'm not worried about the AI fee. I'm worried about more that these things get just automatically integrated into like a Peloton or, you know, the device that they use, right? The smart devices that are sort of pushing out there rather than, you know, an AI device taking over for the trainer themselves. What's actually a bigger sort of threat for you from the trainer perspective is more the, you know, what happens when we come post-COVID. And I know that people now are saying, yeah, sure, I'll go remote 2-3 days a week. We've had the same conversation internally all the time around, hey, you know, people are going to want to go back to an office. And sure, the answer is no right now. Everybody's loving the fact they're not doing a commute. It seems fine. You know, everybody's got the, you know, Zoom is like the big equalizer, right? Everybody's on Zoom right now. So it's fine. When you're the one asshole who's on Zoom and everybody else is in person, that changes dramatically, right? And I think people aren't really thinking through that piece. I think right now you're kind of facing almost a race to try and sort of capture as much of the user base as you can prior
Absolutely.
to people realizing that there are other reasons why they went to the gym, not least of which to be seen, to work out, the community aspect of it, and training with a trainer in person next to you is obviously going to be way more motivational than anything you could do over Zoom. And do you have to start thinking about how do you capture and keep that, you know, that sort of, or keep the relevance, I guess, of the software and technology once they are back to that in-person, you know, mechanism and relationship.
So I'll try to summarize it in a really short answer. We've worked with the Edmonton Oilers for 9 years now. They have their guys in the gym during the season where you have a coach yelling at them, telling them what to do. And then they go away for 4 to 5 months in the off season, depending on whether or not they make the playoffs. And they had to keep that high level of fitness through some remote connectivity, which we've done successfully for quite some time. Now, again, they're motivated by competition and money, but that has played out. I totally like the threat from Peloton or anybody else like that doing this is real. However, the question is, would Peloton want to engage in hiring thousands of personal trainers to manage people, which they might, or where our model is really giving it to the gym next door so that they can have the 15 or 20 additional clients on top of their 60 that they can handle in person to enhance their revenues. And that's where we feel that the Peloton, our model might not quite line up, but threat's always there. I mean, Apple Plus just released their whole stack of Beachbody style content too. So everybody wants to play in fitness, and it's always going to be a tough road.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue that Peloton already does. I mean, the trainer's the guy in front of you on the screen, and all it is kind of reversing that and saying, hey, now you can follow the people who attend your classes as well as the other way around. But that's not the growth market for you either, right? I mean, it's still going to be the mass market of people who used to go to a gym, used to train in person, and are now currently stuck doing it at home. To your point, the Penguins, I think you mentioned yourself, the Penguins, they're not a growth market, right?
Right.
So how do you get and grab that growth market? I think is going to be an interesting challenge for you guys. But
for sure.
Good stuff. Great presentation.
All right. In the interest of time, let's shift to any other nuggets of feedback.
I'll mute myself so I don't try and butt in.
Kevin.
Yeah, I've got a couple real quick ones. Kevin, great presentation, like everybody said. Thanks for running us through that. And as a builder, thanks for letting us all, schmucks get up here and critique you. But I think one is, I'd be clear about how Coach Me Plus is different than the consumer apps that are out there. I'm gonna give you feedback through the lens of as if I were a gym owner or something that was thinking about implementing this. One is, very clearly differentiate the functionality and the behavior differences versus, self-serve consumer app or something. And the other is, how easy or difficult is it to enable technically, and then to drive engagement among members in the gym? Those would be two things I'd probably add.
Great. Tanuj?
No, I think great presentation. I think most of what people have said covers it.
Kevin?
Yes, I think one thing is I just found while you're doing your presentation, there was a lot of text there. So I felt like I was kind of jumping back and forth between reading the text and hearing you speak. So sometimes that's just a presentation kind of a trick. But in terms of the actual business model to itself, or how your value proposition, I guess, to the gyms and to the coaches, maybe some data points around how, there's the difference between somebody you're working with, how successful their business is now versus, the other businesses that are shutting down, or the coaches and trainers that are out of jobs now. If you had something around that, that'd be pretty valuable to know.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Boris, any other feedback or?
No, I think I've probably said too much already as it is, but no, great stuff. Thank you.
All right. So judges, I need some feedback, a score for Kevin on Coach Me Plus. So we've got a 4, and a 3, and a 4. Okay. So we've got 15. Okay, great job, Kevin. We've got a score of 15 there. All right. Next up.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, we have Mauro Zanetti with Cloud 4We. And there he is. Ciao, Mauro. And Mauro, we see you. We don't.
Yes.
We need, and we hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
all right.
We need to see your screen now.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for having me.
Of course.
So I'm going to talk about the company I'm part of, which is Cloud 4Y. And let me share the screen. So can you see it?
Yes.
All right. So quickly, here I'm talking today about the Contactless part of what our company does. Our company is into what they call location-based customer insights. We collect personal data for our clients, businesses, companies, brands, large ones, medium all over the world. The company was started in Europe, and in 2014, he established as a dual company in San Francisco, getting a round B, and from that moment, scaling globally. So our basic mission is to enable businesses and organizations to seamlessly, as much as possible and safely, collect, analyze, and act on location-based customer insights. Today, we have activated 150 million mobile users, over 60,000 locations, and we are currently serving clients over 120 countries. We extract something like 20 billion data per month. Some of our clients are from the fashion world, luxury a lot, but also we are into shopping malls, banking, also workspace like Talent Garden, one of the largest in Europe. Prada Group is one of our main clients. And we have theme parks. We have also entertainment centers and theaters and music centers. So wherever people used to go, and now they're trying to find again the confidence to come back. So we help our businesses and clients to get this confidence back as soon as possible. How can this come? It can come only if we can show that we can bring some kind of digital shield in terms of safety. So some of the analysts recognized what Cloud4Y has been doing over the last 7-8 years. Mainly, I want to just underline that Gartner gave us the cool vendor 2018, being what they say the triple I, meaning very intriguing. But mainly, and most importantly, what I want to say is that we bring an impact in terms of business. It's not just tech for tech's sake, and we are innovative. So we bring old economy companies to a next level, which is the real digital transformation. And right these days, we received a very important last report from Forrester, who is now recognizing us as a technology playing in that field to help businesses to monitor store or workspaces occupancy, decide when to reopen based on footfall indicators and in-store marketing or wayfinding, personalization, and customer behavior analytics. So this idea today is to speak about the contact tracing specifically, which has been something that came new on our table because of COVID-19. So to give you an idea, before COVID-19, when we were talking to big clients about the importance of understanding the traffic they have in their stores, they were like, you know, almost some kind of a who cares, or they would say, yes, that sounds great, but really nothing was in place to make things happen. And to give you an example, when you speak to a museum and you ask them, how many people do you have per year? What is your traffic? They can barely tell you how many, if they still have a people counter or something like that. But when you ask them who they are, they don't really know. So our solution brings the customer at the very center of the game. And now with COVID-19, it's crazy and a paradox because it pushed hard on everybody, ourselves too, to find new ways to make technology something good for the economy, but starting from safety. And the contact tracing came in mind, and we developed it very fast using what we were already doing, location-based customer insights. So basically, we offer this turnkey contact tracing solution that enabled a frictionless, experience, while at the same time we minimize operational burden. So this is a self-service digital check-in, and enabling customers and employees, any kind of stakeholder, to easily and safely check in directly from their own device. So I don't need any more to go wherever and still use a pen or even an iPad, because so many others were using iPads before, thinking that this way they look to be digital. They were not, because they weren't even complying with the policy about data. You know, being born in Europe, for us, GDPR was a main thing. And now in California, effective January 2020, January 1st, there was a CCPA, you know, regulating the data protection. And we say there cannot be any innovation without data regulation.
Great.
So another,
Mauro, you're out of time. Do you want to land on one final thought, one closing?
Yeah, sure. So I want to just share that we leverage Wi-Fi. So we designed the digital experience starting from the Wi-Fi. We can turn through a software as a service, our solution, your Wi-Fi, into this digital welcoming environment where you land. And from that point, it's not about tracking or spying on you, but starting a strengthening relationship with the business and the customer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mauro. Judges, any questions for Mauro?
So let me get this right. This was you guys were a marketing geofencing company that effectively is trying to shift now and pivot into contact tracing?
No, we actually don't do mainly and only geofencing. It's not our thing. We are into location-based customer insights. So leveraging the software as a service on sitting or running on your Wi-Fi, we design a guest Wi-Fi. So no app is needed. People just get in. They don't need to look on a website. They see a pop-up with the splash page, your captive portal. So every brand can personalize the way to welcome people, and they are asked the questions that you want to know, like name, last names, emails, phone numbers. And from that point on, you know, the journey starts, understanding how many times they come back, or running a survey when they go away to hear from them. So it's not exactly just that. But the COVID-19, as I was saying, brought us to bring the importance of having the traffic involved as a you know, the stakeholder is part of the game. Is not just because you want to spy on them, but now at the entrance you can ask people to check in. It's a digital check-in, so it's including the contact tracing thing inside the guest Wi-Fi and digital marketing.
Out of curiosity, I mean, I think the big obvious question for me is, I mean, Apple, Google, that mean they're all doing stuff to do exactly this on your phone without needing anything, without even needing a QR code to check in on. What's different about this that somebody wouldn't already get just by signing up to one of those programs?
Thank you so much. Well, first thing is not about competing with Google or Apple about what they do. It's not just contact tracing. What we want to do is bringing a cultural shift into tech companies or old companies, whatever, to understand that if you do not know who your visitors are, you cannot turn them into customers, and you cannot turn them into loyal customers or the ultimate ones who are ambassadors. So this is not what Google and Apple is doing. When they are saying, of course, they do everything from alpha to omega, but actually it's not their thing. They're just saying this is contact tracing, but we do not do just contact tracing. The contact tracing is a leverage now to let businesses understand they got to speed up in turning into a digital transformed company.
Great.
Two questions from my side. Sorry, Kevin, I think you were jumping in, but quick question. One is, what is your IP? And the second is, are you expecting every person who enters a store to be quote unquote forced to do this check-in so that your contact tracing can work? Is that what you expect to come out of this?
Thank you for your question. I didn't understand the first one. The second one I can
What
respond.
is your intellectual property? I mean, how is this different from what you know, an Accenture can release into open source, as an example?
Okay, so from that point of view, in the industry dedicated to location-based data collection. There are something like 20 companies all over the world. So they're based on this concept of having created their own software as a service to provide a digital experience, leveraging the Wi-Fi. We are not just Wi-Fi. We leverage texting and also the QR code. On the other side of the question you were asking, if we are expecting, I'm not saying we are expecting that everyone is going to do it. Before COVID, we were just thinking people should do that. Because if I want to be not just a guy who passed once at Prada or in a bank or in a movie theater or in a symphony theater, now I can understand better and I can be a stakeholder of that brand. So they can personalize my shopping experience wherever I go. I sign in once, wherever, Shanghai, Italy, France, San Francisco, wherever it comes, and all the other times I'm automatically in the system. So it's a path. I mean, I want to be part of the game. It's not that they're gonna spy on me. That is not the thing that we stress with our clients. We're not telling them this is a great way to track, the footfall, understand with the heat maps. Yes, this is part of the technology. But if you do not embrace a cultural shift in understanding the centricity of the end user, the customer, you're out. You don't even know anything. And there are many examples in different fields where we have seen a lot of improvement.
Great. And Kevin, I think you had a question?
Sure. Just I guess I got confused when you started talking about contact tracing. I assumed it was COVID related, like,
yeah,
tracing the virus, but are you just basically talking about know your customer kind of tracing? So you just know they're coming into the store and you're able to engage with them when they come into the store? And
yeah, you're right, Kevin. Thank you so much for this question, because I was trying to say quickly that we are not born as a solution for the contact tracing. But today I was talking about one aspect of what we do. We do location-based customer data collection. And we collect data for our clients. We let them see, analyze, and act on real-time data. So bottom line, the main thing we do is we enrich CRMs, whatever kind of CRMs. For example, if I can mention Salesforce, is one of the many we collaborate with. When they speak and they sell their Einstein thing, it's all about this big AI. Actually, Einstein cannot do anything if you do not feed Einstein. We are the ones, and only, I would say, in the 20 companies who do these things in the world right now, and we are the number one in doing that, who can feed Einstein with real-time behavior. When I said about the contact tracing, and sorry for kind of confusion, but this was, an invite to be here today. Thank you so much to speak about this contact tracing thing, because now we've seen that our clients and prospects that we were pitching with our solution to bring, at the end of the day, business benefits and not just tech, okay? When we were saying them, you should onboard, you should welcome your customers, your visitors, before customers, with a digital tool, which is also no need of app. But if you have an app, we have an SDK mobile app that can definitely boost and empower your mobile app. But if you do not have it, people just look for the Wi-Fi. It's a gas Wi-Fi, an official way to be welcomed. And when people go away, it's like opening the door again and wishing to see you back soon. So the contact tracing comes now as a mandatory thing, because if Westfield wants to reopen, they should find a way to understand who's coming in and who's coming out. So now we become more mandatory thing with contact tracing. That's how we are helping workspaces all over the globe to reopen safely and to keep informed their stakeholders, not just visitors and customers, but people who come for events or employees or janitors and on and on.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ben, do you have, can you help us just in the interest of time with any just feedback to share with Mauro about how he might improve his presentation in future, and then we'll score. Yeah,
absolutely. So a few quick points. I think the contact tracing thing definitely confused me a little bit up front. And it was kind of interesting to see this, what appeared to be this blend of like a healthcare or health data solution and marketing. And, definitely, I think it's an understatement that there's probably some compliance challenges in bringing those two worlds together. And in terms of the presentation, I think there was a lot of credentialization up front, the analyst reports, but we didn't get very much into the practical details of how the solution worked. And so I think, the lead felt a bit buried, and it might be better to promote that back up to the front. And then the last, point I'd make is, as a consumer, while capturing this information can be important, I think as a consumer, sometimes these Wi-Fi gateways and data collection pages are actually kind of annoying. And so how do you pivot this to be more consumer friendly and reduce friction in the experience while still helping companies achieve their objectives of either capturing that information or having the location-based analytics?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ben, for your observations. Definitely, we will work on the thing about the confusion on contact tracing, marketing, and the credentials of quoting those brands and analysts. That said, consumers can be helped through, for example, QR, one side, and also texting. Because we've seen big trending now on texting. There are really powerful text solutions today where they just ask, in a super frictionless way to just text something to get a reward, a coupon, a discount, and people do it right away, boom. So they don't care about, so we can do that too. And we are just integrating a new part of technology, which with January 2021 will work more on that side.
Great. Okay, judges, I'm going to need some scores from you. So if you can hold up some fingers for me, that would be great. 1, 2, 3, go. 2, let's see. Oops. And 2, and Tanuj, I missed yours. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Marc with API Technologies. So Mauro, if you can stop sharing.
Sure.
Marc. I don't see you, Marc.
We were having some video, but I'll try to share right now.
Okay. Most important thing is are your slides.
Yeah, we had a few minutes of challenge, so I'm just going to go with the presentation. As long as you can see the presentation, I think you're good.
See and hear you, and I'll go ahead and start the timer.
Great. Hello, I'm Marc Barad. I'm the founder and Chief Innovation Officer of API Technologies. I want to introduce you to our Experts as a Service platform. It is a contactless solution, but it is more in what we call a lights out scenario, which I'll explain in a little bit. We're targeting the $500 billion home services industry. Of course, it's a fun time to launch this during a pandemic, but I'll explain the advantage of this and the differentiation. We do have a slide on that. Our highly scalable Experts as a Service platform seamlessly matches e-commerce customers, who are looking at the digital customers, with service professionals that are just right for them. And we do that with proprietary technology. Here is the heart of the solution. We have 2 main components, a front end called ChoreBuddy and a back end called Expert Marketplace. But our secret sauce is the middle engine, which is a best fit proprietary. And this allows for that lights out. It enables customers who are in need of services for home services to place an order. And our routing engine allows them to quote and fulfill without any phone calls, any emails. It's instantaneous. And I know seeing is better than hearing it, so I'll actually give an example of how that works. The key to our solution and our differentiation is we started with the supply side or fulfillment side first, and we signed up national service providers. And what differentiates that is it's unlike you see competitors like TaskRabbit or others that have that kind of gig economy workers. We actually have national fulfillment partners. We've already signed up several for the United States, and we're actually working towards Canada. Let me explain how this works from a flow standpoint and what the significance of that. So in this expert as a service platform, we have companies, manufacturers that make products for the people buy for the homes. We saw this in COVID when in July, for example, when we launched, a lot of customers were trying to get the kids out of the house into the backyard. They were buying swing sets and trying to buy gazebos, but didn't have any put together. So we partnered with the online retailers, and they put our little Chore Buddy logo on there, which referred them to our site. And I'll show you why this is a lights out contactless solution. Right there on our site, the customers can actually choose their product, gives them a quote online real time, allows them to book. No calling, no emailing, no negotiation, no selecting of vendors, products. It's there online real time, and they place an order immediately into our expert marketplace. Once that routing is done, we have a provider portal. And this portal allows all of our service providers, national service providers, to actually receive their orders electronically. It can go into their system as well. And here in our portal, we actually allow them to status. They give increments of when the order has been assigned to a technician, when they've actually completed the order, when they're actually going to be receiving payment. All that information is tracked. So this is an end-to-end lights out solution, doesn't require any phone calls, any emails. It goes straight from the customer to the provider, and the technicians that are going out right now are doing work on the outside. Again, due to COVID, there's not a lot of work being done in the home. Competitive landscape. This goes to the differentiation I talked about. It was literally designed from the ground up. It's been about 2 years under development. It's intended to be linking the customers to national service providers without the need for phone calls, emails, or negotiation. All the other solutions out in the marketplace are rather high touch, which means either there's an email, if you look at the thumbtacks, the right side, email is going to leads to 5 people, you have to negotiate back and forth. Or if the other side of the equation, these are more claim-based, we're actually going to gig economy workers that are actually accepting orders, and it takes time to actually confirm the order. So we're the only solution in the marketplace that has end-to-end touch-free. About us, I have a very strong technology background. Did some work also with Amazon Home Services, where a lot of the ideas came from. Got a background with Oracle. By the way, the FinTechs of the world, I have a FinTech background, but I know this is not FinTech, but much more exciting. Co-founders also technical. Our business model, I know not critical for this call, but we are a transaction fee. So think of this as more Visa, MasterCard. That's the general model, not a services company, or just like Uber. On top of the model, take a transaction fee. Basic highlights, lights out. That is our contact-free, built from the ground up. We have a B2B platforms handling the service providers, built-in redundancy with all the service fulfillment, built-in partnerships with the brands. For example, your artistry makes gazebos. We're making partnerships in the front end with other providers, and also instant quotes. That's it. Thank you.
Great. And on time. Look at that. That's awesome. All right. Any questions about API technologies, judges? Go ahead.
I overwhelmed them.
But just curious, I didn't quite catch how the other players like a TaskRabbit and so on, how they could. I mean, I'm trying to get a sense of how defensible you are compared to them, or is it possible they could be a customer? Is that what I
Sure, I'll answer it this way. So we're talking about a gig economy. I'm here, I don't know about you guys, but here in California, right? So there's a lot of companies that are, whether it's Uber or DoorDash, that gear towards the independent contractor. So the TaskRabbits of the world are definitely geared towards the independent contractor. That means they're dependent on signing up people, anybody with a mobile phone that claims to have a skill set. That's their target fulfillment. I've actually gone the other way around. I looked at, for example, here, think about the Geek Squad. I signed up the Geek Squads of the world. The people already have an army of people in the services industry. I've signed up 6 of them, and I'll continue to go down with anybody that has a nationwide coverage. So that they are not competition. It's a different market.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got a question. Marc, thanks for the presentation. What's the state of the consumer go-to-market? Have you signed up consumers? Are you planning to go through partners? Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So in general, if you look at customer acquisition, our target is going through our retail partners. So again, that is the companies that actually build the products. So perfect example, we just talked about the fitness equipment in a prior presentation. So there's a whole number of companies that produce fitness equipment, and especially during COVID, a lot of people are bringing those and put them into their home. So there's Marcy, there's Solar Fitness, there's Weeder, there's a whole bunch of those, right? On their website, when you're going to purchase this 2,000 piece of equipment, it doesn't give the option of having somebody to come and help you put together. So we're actually aligning with the people that make the equipment. We do have some strategy for direct to consumer, but that would be more after the fact. We're trying to capture them when they're actually making the sale of the product rather than after the product got to the house, because that's where you kind of got the eyeballs.
Okay. And how does the pricing for a job work? I mean, that's part of the reason that Thumbtack and other marketplaces exist, is you can, make those choices on what for people are often relatively high ticket jobs based on quality, based on price and availability. You guys are solving, it seems, the availability challenge, but what about the quality and price considerations that are so important to people?
Great question. And so again, way we're positioning, especially from our branding standpoint, the reason it's called the expert marketplace is because we have 3,000 professionals within there, managed by 6 national providers. I pre-negotiated all the rates, and they actually tell me, so if I say, let's say a Weeder home gym, for example, and I say, we want to offer it to the customers on our site, it's pre-quoted, say $285. And they know the skill sets, the people that they have in managing and what they're going to pay them. And they either agree or not agree. I have an opt-in or opt-out model for them. So I pre-negotiated rates with the national service providers, and all my pricing is actually transparent online. So I have over 500 services that are pre-priced.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I had a question around, and I was struggling kind of following the flow of this, but just as a starting point, what kind of traction have you got so far? I saw you signed up a few of the nationals there. Have you actually sort of got this out? Are you actively working this? Have you gotten traction at all yet?
I'll give you the investor presentation version. We are pre-meaningful revenue. So, but that doesn't mean I'm an idea. So we are revenue, but it's pre-meaningful. So we're about between $5,000 and $10,000 a month. But the interesting thing is during COVID, it's a little interesting in that we're actually doing a lot of big ticket work right now. So our first partnership was with Yardistry. They make all the gazebos. So if you go to Costco or Costco online, get a gazebo sent to your house, and you see this crazy monstrosity that takes 5 people to put together, they refer all their customers to our website to do that. And those orders are about $1,000 each. So the outdoor stuff is what actually it works now in the contactless world. I think once post-COVID hits and we actually allow people to go back in houses again, I think some of the indoor stuff will start pick up.
So I think the sort of circular flow that I was kind of missing out, it looked like from your presentation that you are looking to replace the e-commerce storefront for the vendor that you use, right? So I go to gazebos.com, see the Chore Buddy logo, press this thing, and then I'd go and actually buy it on your website. Am I understanding that right?
No, we only do the services. So if you're getting a gazebo, and you need to actually purchase the service affiliated with the gazebo. Just simple installation. Most of the companies that sell these big products, they're promoted as do it yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys. If you're trying to put together like a gazebo or a play set or even a home gym, good luck. Even if your neighbor has a rad set of tools, I don't know if you're going to be able to get it done.
I get the need. That wasn't the question, but
Yeah.
on your demo, as you went through it, I thought I saw a screen that said, here's the gazebo you want to buy. Here are the places you can buy it.
Ah.
And for me, that meant, wait a minute, as a retailer, I'm going to send you my business for you to then potentially give it to somebody else. That seemed like a sort of circular reference that was missing there.
So a lot of times people are shopping for the service or product. And they say, well, before I buy a $2,000 gazebo, how much is it going to cost me to install it?
Yeah.
So there are places. So what I typically do is only one. The where to buy is typically with my partner. So whoever actually sent me the orders, I give them a link back. Think about it as a typical link back.
Right, but I mean, again, it's like you're asking a retailer to essentially introduce competition into the equation after they've already got the sale, which sounds a little bit tough to sell. But
okay, point taken. Thank you.
All right, how's that?
Okay. Judges, any let's shift now to feedback. I think we just, again, Boris transitioned with that question and exchange, kicked off our feedback session. So any other critical points of feedback to share with Marc?
Yeah, I would just add the clarity of how you scale this business and how do you protect it. So yes, so, once you have ChoreBuddy as something people get used to, that's great. It might become sticky, but what are you going after? Are you going after Costco? Are you going after a gazebo? Are you going after the manufacturer? So a little bit of clarity around, who your customer is. I mean, your customer is and who their customer is, and making sure that you don't compete with your customer. And yeah, I think that clarity would be better, would be good to have.
Thank you, that helps.
Great. And Ben.
Yes, I'll give a piece of consulting-y feedback, which is on the competitive landscape slide. I didn't see any qualities to the dimensions. So what is the horizontal and vertical placement of the logos mean? Could just make that pop a little bit more. But from the two perspectives of, if you were presenting to us as if we were service professional networks, I think one of my observations would be, how do I differentiate versus these others that are already in your network, and how do I control pricing or have any influence over that? And then if I was a retailer, for example, I think Boris brought up a great point of they're going to go through that flow, and some of those things might jump out at them, but also can those retailers do they negotiate rates with you? Do they negotiate rates with the service pros? And what happens on the post service moment, customer service, if there's any issues. So I think just as Tanuj said, like zero in on the specific customer you're serving and the pain point and the narrative around that, which I know in this context, in this format, is difficult to necessarily pick one of those. But
yeah, I'll give you a demo anytime. Thank you.
Yeah, the superficial one too. I think you'd really benefit. Not that I typically sort of focus on superficial, but I think you'd really benefit from getting a graphic designer to take a look at this thing too, and making it a little bit more friendly, I think.
Thank you.
Great. And Kevin.
All right. Sorry, I had the Roomba upstairs decided to start vacuuming, and I got a little distracted in the couple sections there. I wanted to make sure I understood the 15 to 18% transaction, how you make that. So I'm not sure if in your presentation you mentioned that, but if you didn't, that would be a key thing to understand how. That sounds like you're doing better than Airbnb. So I'm curious how if you've had any pushback on that, or if you really feel confident that's a reasonable rate.
It's in production. We're already receiving that from 5 of our providers.
Okay.
5.
All right. Great.
All right.
So thank you, judges. And now I need you to give us another round of scores for API technologies. So please, 1, 2, 3, hold those fingers up for me. Kevin. Okay, we've got 2 3s, 3 3s, and Tanuj, that's a 3. Yeah. Okay. So we've got 3s across the board. All right. Here we go. And now, last but not least, we have Rajiv, maybe, or someone with StoreX.
Sergei.
Sergei, sorry, I didn't have your name here, but you are with StoreX, hopefully.
Yes. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Well, we can see you and hear you. and just need to see your presentation.
Sure, 1 second. Did you see the, okay.
Not quite yet.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Not yet, we don't see it.
You don't see it?
Nope.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. Okay, share screen.
Got the video
There you
down,
go.
maybe interpretive dance.
There you go. Do
Okay.
you see it now?
Yes, we do.
There you go. Thank you very much for inviting us and for giving the opportunity. So you can start the time, Sandra. Thank you very much. Okay, StoreX. The problem. Let me just start with the problem first. It will be faster. The last mile. We know that last mile consists of several stages. It's warehouse, distribution centers, fulfillment centers, transportation, and the last point of the drop-off of the products or parcels. So, and all the stages are being heavily and robotized right now and automated, like the warehouses, all in robots, distribution centers automated, transportation, we have driverless cars on the way, we have electric vehicles, robot deliveries, drones, you name it. But we think, and we found a niche in it, that the last point of delivery is being underestimated and not being given due attention. Imagine all those transport, delivery trucks, vehicles, cargo bikes, robots, rideshare deliveries. They all bring their parcels and boxes to your store or to your property. But is the property ready to accept it without the mess and or the store to accept it? We don't think so. And another problem is the growing demand of the consumers. They all want it now, want it near, and want it safe. For example, we took the extract from the chat, corporate chat of Sephora, and if you see that people complaining, like Sandra said exactly, that the safety is one of the major concerns right now. People don't want to touch things while buying their stuff. And they want to pick up, buy online, pick up in store. But what is it, buy online, pick up in store? It's just you come to the store, come to the counter, to the real person that gives you your package hand to hand. It's not digital also. It's just called buy online, pick up in store. But, and what's the solution here? We came up with we're not doing only the software, we're also hardware guys. So we came up with a smart pickup tower based on the warehouse technology. And basically it's automated vertical storage retrieval pod that you can see the picture. It's installed in the lobby in the property, just as the parcel vending machine. But due to its technologies inside, it can be multifunctional. It can be a parcel locker, a mailbox, a personal storage. It could be an unattended e-tail or retail store, and automated BOPIS, PUDO. We all know these PUDO points where in the city, when people can receive their parcels, come to the counter and get their parcels from the hostel or whoever has the storage room. So we basically do it the automated BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store, and PUDO. It's pick up, drop off points. And what's good, it could be installed as a standalone device, storefront, curbside pickup, or drive-through pickup. Here's a little overview of our features. It's increased storage due to the vertical design. So basically, much more boxes can fit on smaller per square foot than, for example, in a locker. Oversized items, we can handle them. It's a unique capability of ours on the market. No other pickup, drop-off stations or whatever can handle oversized boxes, except for adding another additional unit. Multifunctional, as I mentioned, it could be a parcel vending machine and a store in the building, a little convenience store for automated, unattended for the tenants. Small footprint, it saves up to 80% floor space, as they say in the warehouse industry. Our manufacturers claim it. Smart automation, it's compatible with existing and future city trends. I will go to this later. Contactless delivery, of course, and there are many features that are remote or contactless, plus automation features like disinfection with the ultraviolet lamps, fire protection, remote monitoring, and of course, ergonomic access. No bending or reaching, it's completely ADA compliant. Basically, it's a new generation pickup drop-off point, like a next step from the lockers, I would say. It's unattended, it's contactless, and it's safe, and it's accessible 24/7, exactly what customers ask. Its advantages, if you see here, the high storage capacity, as I mentioned, 80% floor space saving, modular expandable design. It can be expanded not only horizontally, but vertically. That's our advantage. High density, dynamic storage. If somebody is familiar with dynamic storage, it's this technology makes sure the high density of the boxes are stored in high density mode. 100% ergonomics, oversized items, and security and safety, including disinfection and fire protection. Our competition right now are parcel lockers and Walmart pickup towers by Cleveron. But again, our competitive advantage is that comparing for example, Cleveron, it's a great tower like ours, vertical, but it cannot handle the oversized boxes. As you see on the picture on the right on top, the lady picks up or drops off the oversized box in additional unit, not in this Cleveron. That's a disadvantage. Okay, it takes up the footprint. And in terms of lockers, we think that our advantage is extra storage capacity because we go vertical, small footprint. Look at the bottom left picture of the locker. The more boxes you get, the longer the locker would be because it cannot be higher than 6.5 feet. So it takes up the footprint. Ergonomics, as you see on the picture on the right, but not many people will be able to afford picking up heavy boxes from the floor like that. For example, I don't know, pregnant women, people with disabilities, overweight people, kids will not be able to reach to the top, cells, etc., etc. In our extra size boxes, of course, oversized items. As you see on the picture, it's a real picture from our client's location. The lockers are there, but all the oversized boxes are outside, being damaged, stolen, etc. It's ready for the future. Compatibility with existing upcoming technologies like robotics, computer vision, AI, advanced hardware like smart conveyors, for example, that we will be using to pair these autonomous towers with autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles, drone and robot deliveries, it's possible to do without people involved, and passive house standards. And the improving sustainability, StoreX is designed to reduce the time the couriers will spend on premises, thus helping the traffic congestion and carbon emission.
Sergei, you are out of time.
Okay, basically.
Sorry. If you want to make a closing statement.
Closing statement, yes. The digital and physical worlds collide right now. E-commerce and brick and mortar are merging. So if our device is AI enabled and data driven, so this algorithm and smart automation will help lead to intelligent retail, e-tail, and it will help to provide flawless and personalized shopping experience.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So with that, judges, and pretty impressive on that on your phone. Judges, any questions for Sergei?
Hey, thanks for the presentation.
Sergei, one question.
Thank you.
We'll start with Ben this time, and then we'll go to Tanuj.
Oops, sorry about that. Hey, Sergei, is it like a custom built installation? It looks enormous. So
yes, it's
tell us more about that.
it's pretty standard. The height is depends on the customer's requirements. For example, if you have a high lobby, with we can go all the way up to 98 feet in height, and the width it's pretty standard. It's about 2.5 3 meters wide, but this is our advantage because, for example, in the store experience right now, Clever on Tower or any other, they give you, or any other automated BOPIS options, they give you the parcel or the box that you ordered. In our case, we can open the whole showcase or the whole showcase in the store. Like you come to Sephora, you see the whole showcase of the shelves. We can open the whole shelf that people can pick up not only what they ordered, but also related items. And our computer vision will track it, and the person will be charged automatically, contactless, without even pulling out the wallet, because it's they will open the door. It's all automatic. You just pick up things and it goes, all the transactions go unseen.
Got it. Yeah,
And Tanuj?
Yeah, no, so I just wanted some clarity. Is this a big vending machine or what is this? I mean,
Yes,
when you said 98, you said 98 feet?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be 98 feet. It could be
No,
12 feet or
wondering if you have a
14 feet.
2-3 meter base and you go 98 feet with, with lawnmowers on the top, what will happen? But anyway,
no, not
just,
only it can go
how does
98
this
feet.
actually get deployed in a store? And give me just an example of a store. If you say a cosmetic
Sure.
store, I get it. And what
Sure.
will it actually look like? How do people load it? How does it unload, etc.?
Yeah, except for the height, it can go. It can also have multiple access windows from different sites. For example, couriers or whoever can drop stuff from one site, and people will pick up their stuff from another site. And it has also through floor capabilities. So if you install it in the building with a few floors and several floors, on each floor there will be an access window to pick up the goods. So basically, yes, it's a big vending machine, but it's much smarter because it's our partner is one of the biggest manufacturers in the world, German Swiss company. They hold 70% market in the US, and it's all packed with technologies, softwares. That's why I was telling you that it's compatible with other devices like drone drop-off, for example, drone delivery. No locker can do it, or autonomous vehicle, delivery vehicle can, without people, just drop the packages there fast. It will decrease the time of drop-off of operation and help the traffic and congestion. And yeah, in terms of shopping experience, the best service, as I think, is unseen service. So in my vision, shopping should be like that. The person, or picking up parcel, for example, the person just comes up or passes by some wall, the wall opens, gives you whatever you wanted, and you just go further. All other transactions, recognitions, money, charges, etc., go unseen.
And the underlying
Sergei,
technology was computer vision.
Screen, Sergei.
I'm sorry, yes. There you go.
Was the underlying technology computer vision to pick items, etc.? Is that what you said?
Yes, underlying technology, it could be different. We use as a basics, we use these the lifting machines, heavyweight warehouse machines, like elevators for goods, let's say. And depending on customer needs, we can use robotics, speaking robotics, or computer vision, of course, to tie it with artificial intelligence and track the customer experience, what they're ordering, what needs to be. I thought that you would be interested in that for the properties, PropTech. Yeah, so with Internet of Things, this tower can communicate with other buildings if they have, for example, spare space, if there's no space in this building, or if it's a store, it can send you a signal what most popular items are finishing and to fill up for the couriers. So it's yeah.
Great. Let's one more quick question in.
Yeah, I think I missed out where it is that you make money.
We sell right now the business model is that we sell the machine to the property or the store, and also it's reselling with partnering with manufacturers and software, monthly charges for software.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I would add to your list of competitors, because in addition to Walmart, and I can't remember who else you had there, I mean, Amazon is blanketing the space with all sorts of different types of lockers in every Whole Foods around here. I'm sure they're doing it elsewhere. UPS gives me, sorry?
Yes, yes.
I was going to say UPS gives me the option of shipping my stuff to various local stores as well, who I'm pretty sure either pay for it or even offer it for free, because it's just additional foot traffic for them. And so in many ways, actually having a device in the store takes up more valuable retail space and stops the person-to-person interaction that would allow them to make a cross-sell. And the last thing too is, whilst I kind of buy into a lot of the sort of process you had, I've seen a lot of these last delivery things around where they sort of decide that the way to get around the last point is to essentially bring the consumer to you rather than take to the consumer. And I'm not entirely sure I'm bought in on that concept. But B, also, I think what customers are really wanting when they say that they want to have that sort of in-store experience is actually not just the product delivered to you, but the actual choice, right? It's the ability to go and see that, oh, there's 5 pairs of jeans and here are my choices, or here's 10 different lipsticks and I can just pick the right shade. And so I don't know if maybe the sort of way to sort of differentiate yourself, if you will, and I don't know if it's possible, wouldn't be to sort of deliver mini, work with retail stores to figure out what a mini retail storefront would be, and to deliver a personalized storefront to somebody that gets recycled over and over, right? Rather than just doing base delivery, because base delivery, I feel like, is something that is pretty done, and you're going to be competing against a pretty crowded market that's not short of a few competitors out there.
Sure. I mean, it's not about base delivery. I mean, for example, if you shop online and you buy an item, it's usually below you see like related items. People also buy with this, that, and that. That's your choice. And as I said, as I mentioned before, we open the whole shelf. So whenever you bought an iPhone, you come to pick it up, and this iPhone to the storefront of Apple, to this tower. It opens the whole shelf with all the accessories for the Apple, and you can grab your headphones, etc., and it just automatically will add to your charges.
So I'm going to stop this conversation because we need to get to. We're really running long on time, but it's just because we have so many great startups here, and obviously everybody's interested to dig into this.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I will be happy to answer all questions. If you have, please email me. And
thank you, Sergei. Yeah, be sure to put your email in the chat.
Absolutely.
So now we're just going to shift to one last time, judges, giving your scores for Sergei's company, StoreX. So 1, 2, 3 fingers. So 3, 2, 3. So we've got 3 3s and a 2. Great. All right. Excellent job, Sergei, and to all of the companies. And it's my pleasure to announce the winner for today. And again, we really appreciate every startup who has presented. It's honestly a privilege anytime we get to see a startup present. But wow, look at this. We have Coach Me Plus, we're pleased to announce as the winner. So great job, Kevin, with Coach Me Plus. And we will be giving some social media love, certainly to our winner tonight, but also to all of the companies, as well as actually our awesome judges. Because we just want to help amplify all of you. So that's going to be happening online on LinkedIn and other social media channels. And so we learned a ton. I don't know about you, but I found it very inspiring. And I really think that we had some great perspectives from our judges and the startups got some great insights. So we also know that there are people who are out, who've been listening to this. So thank you also, audience, for your attention. And we hope you had a great experience as well. Please do reach out to any of us or the startups directly if you'd like to learn more. And there's also a ton of people behind the scenes with us here, some of whom you've seen, some not, who make all of this happen. So I really want to express huge thanks to all of the Runway team. So thank you, Erica Hall, Liu Wang, and Manny Oriana for making everything happen today. And audience, I haven't asked. This is our second B2B pitch event. I'll put my email in the chat window momentarily, or Manny, maybe you can do that for me. But we'd love your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think worked, what we could do better. We're planning to do more of these in the future. And we just, we got to start somewhere and really help startups and corporate innovators find each other. And so anyway, with that, I'm going to hand the baton back to my colleague, Erica Hall, who will help us close this out. Thank you, Erica, and thank you, judges.
Great, thank you, Sandy. And congratulations again to Coach Me Plus, but also thank you to all the startups for participating. This was an extremely informative event in terms of teaching us about new technologies in the contactless space. So thank you so much again for participating. Just to close us out here, I wanted to point you to a couple of resources that are available on Runway's website and also our YouTube channel. So as I mentioned before earlier during this presentation, this B2B pitch event, along with our last one, has been recorded and will be available soon on our YouTube channel, which you can see here under Runway Innovation Hub, along with some other videos that we've recorded in the past. Also wanted to point you to a couple of resources on our blog as well. So our team has come up with a couple of great resources providing industry insights in things like health tech, prop tech, you name it, fintech, etc. And so also these will be available on our website if you go to runway.is and then look on our blog page. In terms of a couple of events coming up, we will be hosting another wonderful B2B pitch event like this one. The next theme will be on 5G technologies. This has been a super exciting space, and so we're looking forward to seeing new startups emerge in this space. So if you are a startup or know a startup or a panel member or corporate in this space, please do feel free to reach out to us. And so we can get you set up with our next event. And yeah. And then additionally, in spring of 2021, we are planning a innovation summit series. More details will come shortly on our LinkedIn and our website as soon as we get more details regarding that, but please be on the lookout for that as well. As always, if you would like to learn more about working with Runway and our innovation services, please do feel free to reach out to us. Our website is runway.is, and you can find our contact information directly there. But again, thank you so much for joining us today for this B2B pitch event, and we hope to see you again soon.